Chairman, are you ready to start the meeting?
Yes, sir, Maury.
I'll have everyone please rise. We'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I would ask you to remain standing for a moment of silence for the flood victims in Texas. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing. We offer a moment of silence for our thoughts and prayers to the flood victims in Houston, Texas, present Texas, Oklahoma, and elsewhere. Yesterday, the flooding inundated Houston and killed at least 5 people, damaged thousands of structures, and stranded thousands on waterlogged roads. In total, since Friday, 17 people have died as a result of the storms in Oklahoma and Texas. The Weirton Area Port Authority has many friends and stakeholders in the Houston area, and our thoughts and prayers go out to them as well as the citizens of Texas, Oklahoma, and other affected areas. So again, I'd like to have a moment of silence. Thank you. Please sit down. Mr. Chairman, I am ready to present the monthly report from Master Arms. 4 areas. Let me start off with announcements. Again, in compliance with the West Virginia Open Meetings Act, we submitted information about this meeting to the West Virginia Secretary of State website, the West Virginia State Journal, various local newspapers in Weirton, Steubenville, Wheeling, and Martinsburg. We also maintain our active email list, internal email list for followers of the Weirton Area Port Authority that went out also on the 18th of May. And then closer, we additionally also put out an event on Facebook, and that was placed out on May 23rd. Committee meeting update for May. On May 20th, we did have our safety subcommittee meeting. Since that committee stood up in the latter part of last year, we've been consistently having monthly meetings. And I also would like to report to the board that there were no other committee meetings held during the month of May. Training sessions, we start off with an update there. In the month of May, we did not have any specific training sessions. We did reach out to several different firms in the area, several different law firms, as well as law schools. We were looking for experts on subjects such as antitrust, restraint of trade, confidentiality, but we were not able to solicit a volunteer speaker for those topics. We are continuing to look for quality speakers. And we do encourage the public, once those opportunities are available, to attend those events, because again, the broader participation, the more attractive that looks to potential speakers. So again, we encourage attendance when we have these things, and we do publish these announcements on these meetings. The next training session that will be held in June coming up is on driver safety. We have a requirement under the West Virginia Bureau of Risk Insurance Management, a group called RIM, to have annual training for all workforce members on driver safety. That's mandatory participation of all members of the workforce, and again, is an annual requirement under the RIM. So we are looking at a day. This will be internal training for the workforce. It will be held at the terminal. Given the, again, to just minimize any disruption to the workday, looking at approximately around the middle of the month, probably around 11 o'clock, so that we can again hold this, take care of this requirement under RIM. I have been working on the different driver safety materials that are available, and again, I will be presenting that in development also for training. We have two other areas that are being worked by the Master of Arms. One is on the Code of Conduct and Ethics. We'll be implementing a detailed guidelines and training for Code of Conduct, not only for the board and for its officers, but also for the workforce. And the other area of training that's in development is a program on doing business with the court. Referring this to be a multi-part training series under the rubric of integrity in contracting. Our intention is to allow participation of local and regional vendors, and we'll be presenting on various topics that are germane to the issue of contracting with the court, including a concept called performance-based contracting. We talk about vendor registration. We'll be talking about sources of information, including the use of the WAPA website. We'll be talking about how vendors can track bid announcements. We'll also be reviewing standard contracts and other tools and mechanisms required for basically contracting with the board. Next slide, please. Freedom of Information Act. Give you an update on our activities there. At the end of April, during the course of the last monthly meeting, we received our first request under FOIA for information released. We successfully executed that request. We learned several lessons also from that exercise, including what I recognized was an internal gap within the organization concerning the issue of handling sensitive information, sensitive documents. There's certainly a requirement within the board for a training and a policy and procedures for information security and document security. I'm in a process at this point in time of preparing a procedural document for the court detailing the procedures required for handling FOIA requests. That is not just simply getting a request, making some copies, and sending it out in the mail. An organization of this type requires a detailed process and review of the request, the effort it takes to do that, and the final archive of the materials. I've determined at this point that we have a 10-step process that's required within the board, and the process of preparing a procedure for the board that will detail that process. Also, as a follow-up to the first FOIA request, one of the documents that was requested actually was a document that originated outside the court. And based on our analysis at the time, our review, we determined that it was not appropriate for us to release that document. We have decided as a follow-up to proceed to contact and actually our own FOIA request to that third-party originator for that document to make it available for potential for public release. We initiated that request, and we have not at this point in time heard a response back from the originator. And again, given the sensitivity of the document, I will not release the information about that originator at this point in time. Ethics. During the course of the month, there were several questions that were raised concerning the requirements of our WAPA committees under the issue of the Open Meeting Standards Act. The Act details the deliberations of the governing body. In this case, for WAPA, it's really the actual board, pretty much sitting on this side of the room. And the issue of forums, deliberations, etc. So the question was raised is that you have committees under WAPA, in this case, comprising officers of the individuals from the Office of the Executive Director, various members of the workforce, and volunteers, is that same set of standards required for committee operations as required under an official body. So we sent out an information or clarification request to the West Virginia Ethics Commission, and we received a response from the commission. And that response basically informed us that committee activities are in fact subject to the West Virginia Open Meetings Act. Can we get the next slide, please? Go ahead and read the response from the Ethics Commission, in this case the General Counsel, Kimberly Weber. It's basically stated that, dear Mr. Samovich, you asked several questions pertaining to how the Open Meetings Act applies to the board, the authority, and its committees. First, committees of governing bodies are subject to the Open Meetings Act to the same extent as the board authority as a whole. It does not matter if the committee is comprised of less than a quorum of board authority board members. Therefore, the quorum of committee members are gathered to discuss a matter about which the committee will someday make a recommendation to the full board, the Port Authority Board, then a committee must follow the Open Meetings Act in all respects. We received a clarification on that. We've asked, we've also sent out an additional request for clarification on several other subjects, but we've not received a response to that. And the last area for tonight, Public Information Officer. As the Port Authority further involves its process, including lobbying, we are moving forward to influence West Virginia state legislation, facilitate port and intermodal infrastructure development. As a Master of Arms, I was requested and initiated a request for information from the West Virginia state legislature concerning what the proper procedures are for introducing legislation in West Virginia. That request went out and we are waiting for a response. Any questions or comments?
I do have a question. So with the committee, I thought with the committee met, then based on what they found, then the committee would then go to the sponsor, who would be Dan or I. And I would see that as more public than the committee meeting itself. Because I didn't see that next chain, because the committee does not make a recommendation to the board. It's the sponsor who makes a recommendation to the board, I believe.
I think the sponsor would communicate the committee's recommendation. The committee makes the recommendation and the sponsor makes the recommendation. You can't just, the sponsor wouldn't ignore the committee's recommendation.
But I would see that the committee debriefing the sponsor as public, not necessarily the committee meeting itself.
I know Mike could probably add clarification, but the way the open meetings reads is the committees and subcommittees of public bodies are open public committees. That's the way the law reads. Now, there will be cases whether there needs to be a waiver or there's classified information, proprietary information. And if our meeting, most of our meetings would have been our executive session type because of the private, it's all private finance. So we would still need to follow the rules, but work to find maybe a solution to, if there's going to be 10 executive session meetings, is there a different process? But today, we typically schedule those at a regular rate of policy, let people come to them, and anything that's inappropriate for the public would go to the executive session. And our meetings are mostly executive session.
Okay.
At the same time, we have maintained compliance to the Open Government Act for all committee activities. If we do not have a quorum of members, meeting does not occur. We open those meetings available to the public, so we are doing our best to in fact remain compliant, and we work since I began.
As we get further along, we'll have better abilities to schedule and communicate. We're not communicating all very well right now. The goal is to follow that process. So it's just a matter of resolution and learning.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, thank you, Marty. Before I start, I want to acknowledge a few people in the room and on the phone. On the phone, we have ex officio member John Vargo with Da Vinci Solutions, been a long time, significant part of the development of the intellectual property and procedures behind it, has been fully supportive of this process. We also have Dan Brennan, who's been here. I think he was here at the last meeting. He's Reserve Capital, financial advisor on the private financing aspects, and also participating in Class B. Is he participating in that Class B rent? No, but he supports from the financing on the private side. I have Larry Galinsky out of New York with Frasca, which is the financial advisor for the Port Authority. He'll be here. Larry, you're going to be here next Tuesday? Fantastic. It's great to look forward to meeting you. And we have Randall Thomas, who's been supporting the Port Authority for the last few months. He's out of Cleveland area. I know you're not in Cleveland exactly, but he's also on the phone with us. In addition, we have TS Electric. Jason Eddy's here. He's been a diligent attendee of the port meetings and supported the port marine terminal build out, and is still progressing along with us. We also have Steve Balkin with Balkin Insurance, our local regional insurance partner expert, and Martin Phillips with Pinnacle Solutions and part of the private investment side, and great support for the port as well. Did I miss anybody? Yeah, I missed you.
Your brother's here.
My brother's here, yeah. Brandon DeFelice is more fortunate than anybody else in the room. Anyway, I'll move on to roll call. With the roll call, let's start with Doug Belligal.
Here.
Dan Spickard.
Here.
Bethany Goddard.
Here.
Mark Olympus is absent. Santos Santoro is absent. That's the officio side, and we do have a quorum. Also, ex officios, Farley Wood.
Here.
Ed Littlejohn. Here. John Margo.
Here.
He's there. And Judge Dan Spawn, retired, was unable to make tonight's meeting. On the slide, you can see we have the TWIC completed. Everybody's up there. I think we have DeFelice, Belligal, Spickard, Goddard, Littlejohn, Wood, and Vargo. Sponsors, board committees, or finance, asset, operations, and labor committees, and they're listed on the board. I'll go ahead to the next slide. With the adoption of the agenda, I need a motion to discuss or approve. Dan Spickard, motion.
Second.
Doug Belligal. Any comments or questions on the agenda? No comments or questions. All in favor of approving the agenda, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Agenda passed. Next item. Can't hear me? I'll talk louder. Next item is the approval of last month's minutes, April 29th. Can I have a motion to bring those to the floor? Belligal, second. Bethany. Comments or questions on the minutes from April's meeting? With no comments or questions, all in favor of approving last month's meeting minutes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that passed unanimously. Next is the new business. We have one resolution. It's Board Resolution 112, and I'll let Bethany Goddard read the resolution, and we'll bring it to the floor for discussion.
A Weirton Area Port Authority Board Resolution for the purpose of authorizing the Office of Executive Director to coordinate with federal and state level lobbyists for the purpose of implementing the 2015 Pike Island Pool Unmanned Systems Test and Training Range Concept of Operations, or CONOP. Whereas the WAPA Board recognizes that certain national security agreements are in place within West Virginia, and that coordination between the Office of Executive Director and federal and state lobbyists ensures essential communications occur during drafting of the necessary authorization and appropriation bills to implement these agreements. Whereas the WAPA Board recognizes that significant local efforts supported by the formulation of the reference CONOP and these these efforts have current and future national, regional, and local impact. Therefore, let it be resolved that the board authorizes the executive director to coordinate and communicate with lobbyists to ensure implementation of the CONOP at the federal and state levels.
Okay, with that, can I get a motion to bring this to the floor for discussion? Farley with motion, second. Okay, Littlejohn, second. Comments, questions on this resolution 112?
This is just to communicate, this has anything to do with, kind of funding lobbyists.
Now, this is just coordinating federal and state,
Educating and everything.
just starting to build the teams and blocks. Any other questions? Comments? All right, with no further comments, all in favor of passing board resolution 112, 2015, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, let the record show that passed unanimously. All right, we'll go into the update section of key performance indicators for May. We're up to 6 meetings in 2015. On the governance side, and the approved resolutions. So far this year, we have 12, a total of 108. And we have 5 resolutions in committee. Our attendance is holding steady in the mid-30s, 30 to 40 every month. It's 34 last month. Facebook is 1 from 500. We're 499. We get 7 to 10 a month new followers. And then our YouTube videos, we had 27 viewers last month. And we'll see. And that changes every month depending on
It's about 15 to 20 for each one.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Then the training, we have a total of 65, or 134 total, 65 in April.
68.
Robert's Rules was 68, and open meetings is 66 attendees on these trainings.
Views.
Views of the training, okay, sorry. I understand. I misunderstood that one. All right, go ahead. Next slide. Those are views of the training sessions on that. Terminal operations and the metals processing, we shipped about 102,000 pounds this week. And customer loads, we didn't have any this month. 305,000 last month. We're still, most of the heavy scrap is out of the building, but there'll be continued, a lot of demolition still to go. We just didn't do a whole lot this last month with that, compared to the month previous. Internal work permits. This month we have 11 open work permits this month. New permits, we didn't have any new ones, and we didn't close any in May. The other statistics, we have 27 TWIC, transportation worker identification credentials, 27 individuals today, 17 business partners are on TWIC. We have 19 active volunteers, and online training completed. So far there's 16 level 1, 11 individuals for level 2, 3 individuals level 3, and only 2 at level 4. So as we continue, that'll continue to grow, and that's learning a lot about the operations aspects and the basic requirements of terminals and safety and everything else. Go ahead, Jim. For progress update on where we are, in the beginning of the Port Authority reactivation, when we get into financing, the key aspects were source, use, and income. And up here is a slide that kind of defines the source, use, and income for the funds, or for the projects, and I'll start with that. But it's for the U.S. Coast Guard Unmanned Lighthouse and System Integration. It's a 5-year contract, public-private partnership, CONOPS, concept of operation, and it has matched financing. So from the source of the income, it's emerging growth is what the designation of the companies are. Small emerging growth or large emerging growth. But the source is a Class B capitalization of West Virginia Real Estate Trust. The use of the funds is for critical infrastructure, key resource capital improvements. And the income is coming from a federal contract, a signatory anchor tenant lease agreement for the facilities with respect to the intermodal rail terminal distribution service center. That then flows into a 2015 disclosure agreement and risk factor statement that the Port Authority's issued. And again, it's the West Virginia Real Estate Trust with the capitalization. They also had to have representations and warranties, which ensures all the various representations made by the various regional authorities and groups for any kind of misinformation or accidental or intentional misinformation. West Virginia Real Estate Trust is managed by a board of managers, and it is a special purpose entity designated by its bylaws as a port affiliate for a special purpose of these P&L profit loss centers, and their focus is property management, project development, and architectural engineering. On the right side of the column is where the federal aspect ties in. The SF-424 is the form that you submit to the federal government for federal assistance or program participation, or a variety of submissions. And that was authorized through concession, Resolution 87, which was the operating concession. And then there's an award, and then the books, white book, yellow book, blue book, red book. White book are the corporate books. As you establish a corporation, all of your corporate documents are contained in that book. Yellow book, we're going through a yellow book audit. It's a GSA audit, management audit, and process procedural audit that then identifies areas for improvement significantly. It flows from, I believe, the governor's office down through to the Port Authority, because that's the full structure for the state of West Virginia. And that'll come, I think it's almost finished.
What's that?
The yellow book?
No, the yellow book is.
Oh, that's over the 12-month earn-out, right? Blue book, contracts. The blue book contains the contracts that the board operates with various contracts that work with. And Larry Polinsky will be in to review the blue book and the various other books that we're doing. Can you help with the red book?
The red book is all your operational loss and day-to-day.
And that ties into all profit centers and the rental line. That's the public-private partnership source use and income for the project. Resolution 87 was the operating concession for the intermodal rail terminal. As you can see, I'll read through top view of these. I don't know that I'll read them all, but it is a chronology of activity from 2012 all the way to 2014 and continuing. From the master plan creation, then to Resolution 27, small business mentorship. Resolution 28 is a restrict access to the port facilities and mandate use of TWIC. Again, compliance to safety and security requirements and other controls. Board Resolution 31 established port tariffs and fee structures. 34 was support for union representation. 40 was established public commercial heliport seaplane base. 43 is facility operating concession. And what this is building the diligence and the portfolio of activities in building the value in all the work we're doing. Then we have written consent 8 was a special round intermodal enhancement fund application we did in 2013, where they have, the state of West Virginia has a fund, wasn't available in that application time. Then we have Board Resolution 63, critical infrastructure and key resource protections for local port districts. Support of Veterans Mission Continues Program, again, procurement of commercial insurance. It continues down through the last one. And one of the key ones, which we haven't talked about in a while, was the port-to-port secure trade initiative proclamation between Weirton Area Port Authority and San Luis Potosi, Mexico, which includes trade, communications, and technology transfers. Again, building the robustness of the supply chain between us and our trading partner, Mexico. And then critical infrastructure and information act of 2002. All these tie and align, and we've aligned and tried to support the project. And then the last couple of the resolutions for purpose of issuing an operating concession for the Pike Island Port and the rail facilities.
Did you cover the proclamation?
Proclamation, yeah. That's the key to the Mexico into the supply chain. And the San Luis Potosi is, again, the second largest port in the world. Mexico has the most trade. Then unmanned systems, test and training range attributes. As we talked about from way back in 2011 to today, part of the aspects of the Port Authority and is securing the area and managing and providing safety and security and infrastructure for commerce. And part of that is the unmanned systems test and training range attributes. A good example is river mapping. That's an example of an unmanned system that can be used for stuff like that. But it's also a lot of the value in the technology transfer aspects of the Port Authority, bringing that technology in a test bed environment here to Weirton. So we're participating in the transfer from federal or military or other to commercialization aspects, which keeps this region in the lead with technology, which is key to success and sustainability. So West Virginia, we have West Virginia-Ohio border. It's a multi-state, multi-county, metropolitan statistical area, Brooke, Hancock, and Jefferson counties. The Upper Ohio River M70 fiber mesh catchment area, which is again the Marine Highway 70, and our network is a fiber mesh network, and it'll cover, you'll see some pictures of the catchment area on the next few slides. But at mile marker 65, which is the point down on Half Moon Industrial Park, there's an unmanned lighthouse that was built back in 13, I think. 12. Then we have emergency response landing zone for the helipad landing for emergencies, critical emergencies because of the flammability and the dangers associated with oil and gas tunnels and other industrial sites. We've integrated river docking system and instrumented north and south range is where we're building the two, really the West Virginia 42, and I don't know the other ones, 43, the southern seaplane base on the Ohio River. So you'll see a slide with the air assets, which goes through with Jefferson County Airport. Also in the testing aspects from the technology side, to operate and test within a Class B airspace. We're in a landing and takeoff, which is Class B of Pittsburgh. So there's a lot of sensitivities with respect to unmanned aircraft and large airports. And so to be able to test that and all the payloads in those environments is another key, along with the geographical environment of the region. But Pittsburgh International Airport, military, as a public and a military airport connections. Is there military in Pittsburgh? I didn't realize that.
Air Force.
Air Force.
National Guard.
National Guard. And the fueling too. Then we have Weirton Steubenville Seaplane Base, which is West Virginia 42 and 43. And then non-line of sight domain awareness sales. So, you know, a lot of the technology is line of sight. We also have to be able to manage it without that direct line of sight. So you have to build a robust ecosystem, test bed structure to be able to do that and test out all the features. Here's a chart or a map of the region. Jefferson, Brooke, and Hancock counties. This is the Jefferson County Airport. That's for North West Virginia 42, West Virginia 43 south on the river, seaplane base. And that's the Brooke, Hancock, Jefferson Regional Aviation Infrastructure. It ties to 2011, and these slides are going to go from 2011 to 14. IRADS, Internal Research and Development. And this is the infrastructure that's submitted to support our role when that IRAD will come.
Resolution number 2. When you created the resolution 1 was to set up the not-for-profit way back in January of 2011. Then there was 2 resolutions that were actually kicked the federal programs in, and along with the letter of intent to the Department of Homeland Security. This report here was, BJ, correct me if I'm wrong, this was Cambridge Asset Study Systematics.
Yeah,
The report that participated long before I got here, and BJ was involved with it in 2010, I think.
Yeah, BHJ, Metropolitan Planning Commission.
And this was, how many folks in here know there's a Metropolitan Planning Commission in the community? Don't everybody raise their hands.
Very few.
How many people know where it's located? Ed? Stupid, downtown Steubenville. It's the 2010, Dr. Brown, who headed the economic development, John Brown. He went before the United States Congress and overlapped the 2 metropolitan planning or metropolitan statistical areas to form a single Brooke, Hancock, and Jefferson County. Subsequent to that approval by Congress, where this is a very unique area, where we have a single metropolitan statistical area, MJ, what is it? 40?
No, it's 5 digits.
And subsequently, the state was doing a statewide logistics asset plan, so a regional had to get done. And that's, you got involved in early 2010.
Right.
And it created all of the assets of the Brooke, Hancock, and Jefferson metropolitan statistical area.
Register them, list them all out, so they're defined for all
Didn't know
the
that.
major instances. And that flows out into what they call the central community
that's when that was all
economic development.
That was, yeah, that's what it's called. Yeah, so the MPO created the BHJ, Brooke, Hancock, Jefferson, and they went out and measured all the assets. And all the assets, and this happens to be the aviation assets, that are within the BHJ community. The state designated this a 100-mile catchment area. So all of the assets within, and that's where all this nomenclature came from these preliminary studies. They were all done, I think the statewide was completed in 2012. The local was completed in 2011. Right, and all of these is where the evaluations came from. Then the port came in 2012 and did the DHS Stevens economic impact. So all of these were all linked and interlinked together. They're being updated in 2015. But that's that slide right there. That's actually was done by the Brooke, Hancock, Jefferson Metropolitan Planning Commission.
BHJ, MPO, and have this.
That's what it started.
Go ahead.
No, that's been
This is a diagram or chart of the path from the Jefferson County Airport where the unmanned systems will launch and recovery, entry and exit flight profile. That's the Cobra launch and recovery. That was 2011 again. We worked with Jefferson County, or it'll launch from Jefferson County Airport and fly the West Virginia 42 section and up to.
This is actually the north range.
That's the north range.
It's determined to be the north range. So the center line is the Ohio River, plus or minus 5 miles. And then the target area was plus or minus 1 mile with positive control. The aircraft that was used was a Raytheon aircraft because it was the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers acquired one of them. Anybody ever find a picture of the WAPA SCS-1 that was flown on internally? You have a picture of it? Yeah, there was actually a picture of it that the night before its maiden flight, which was done on the West Coast. It never flew in this catchment area, but the drones that were used here were up 40,000 feet. They were communicating in 2012 with the top. So all of that testing. But this was the flight profiles that went through all of the validations and I think the airport at that time had potholes and taxi routes.
And for, most people might not have even realized that was happening because it wasn't here. It wasn't, we didn't launch out of here. It was they were flying and doing the testing with that network. So the towers we built and the fiber in the building, the networks were actually tested through that marine terminal phase and submitted through our submission process as we chronologically submit the departments as needed. This is a picture of the Half Moon Industrial Park with the network overlay, 2012, 2015, My Port Wireless Network. That was what we named the network, My Port. And that's Half Moon Industrial Park. And you can see we've got some of the assets identified. West Virginia 42 is the airport FAA identifier for the River North Range. And then the Industrial Park Stormwater and Processor Pond. There's a pond, there's a big retention pond up there, and then our retention pond, that one's out of commission and we put on 3-stage here. There's an oil and gas storage terminal, city water intake and processors, again, city water, sanitation, outflow processors at the bottom right, cement processors. There's also, all of these inside here are receiving and processing metals activities, and then there's a lay-down yard up here. So this gives you a map of the area and the coverage. It'll be a wireless coverage network, but it'll be used for certain things. I don't know, does this cover, it's not an open network, this coverage, is that open wireless? Yeah, that's open.
It's all the open.
Then
There'll be a segment of it
Right.
that's open to the public, of course.
And then the private networks inside that will be the private networks. So there'll be internet access on full coverage. That doesn't, Dan asked if that connects to the hospital.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, the connection is with the pictures.
There's a whole network of, originally when it was built, the next slide, when Jimmy and his crew built those assets that are still down there, that are now fiber up to the rail terminal. Those all connected to a network of hospitals. I think there were 5 Hilo services that were up here.
Yeah, there were at least 5 different ones that come in and out.
That were connected to that. And there were no, what they call lift deals. Those were all U.S. Coast Guard, but those had to fly in from Detroit. They all did that once.
So it'll be an emergency. Help. This next slide is 2012, 2013 research and development river pilot network. So these are the assets that were built in support of the network. The first tower is an interoperable radio tower, and you have the unmanned lighthouse tower, environmental sensor station. These 3 are down at the terminal. They're all down there, I think, at the marine terminal. Early warning station, river sensor and dock structure. So we had that was out in the river. Landing zone structure, and then MyPort Next Gen HAPE clouds network cabinets.
Why don't you, can you read the notes so
Yes,
everybody has
yeah.
an idea of the services that
Yeah.
we're actually doing?
So, yeah, it says the notes, number 1 is navigational aids and perimeter surveillance, public address and evacuation system, emergency NICS broadcast, and fire control system. NICS is National Incident Command System. Number 4 is sense and avoid command and control system, and ship to shore, air to ground, and easy pass, RFID and RTLS system. That's what's the services connected
There
with.
were 7 missions that were tested on board the International Space Station with things. So the simulation of, I think you had a simulated tank rupture, a simulated water, whatever they call it, when the oil gets in the water. And then there were 4 or 5 others that were actually, the astronauts were actually monitoring Weirton through that lighthouse tower.
Through the networks and satellite, because it's tied to the satellite system. That's the whole resilience of the network. Go ahead, MJ. This is almost like a network diagram, a bubble. I don't know how to describe the type of diagram. I'll read down through it. It's 2013 or 14, which is the Cooperative Research and Development Incident Command System for the Weirton Area Port Authority. On the Upper Ohio River, M70 Pike Island Pool for rail, fleet, air, and vessel traffic services and tariff and fee schedule. And you can see that up in the top is the surveillance zone, which is the marine, the servers down, or the servers down at the marine terminal. We'll connect it all down with intermodal rail and network operations connect to the Fiber West, which is the Keystone network that connects out to Chicago. So network operations is sitting in Steubenville. Intermodal rail is, again, these are surveillance zones. Intermodal rail is the MBS Signode or MBS RET facility that RET's working on. And then also the other side, the eastern panhandle, is where Martinsburg, for joint use airport, Martinsburg connects to the Fiber East, the Beltway network, which then goes out to Ashburn, Virginia, and then Carrier Interconnection connects these. So we'll all have our assets connected in West Virginia to the national systems in the main fiber networks, and then the private networks connecting to Lincoln Lab with the SafeCom Internet, Oak Ridge National Labs, the Comcast is their data center, and then the U.S. brokerage system. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Bob? But that's
U.S. brokerage system.
Yeah, U.S. brokerage system.
The tariff and fee transactions are all handled out of New York. So all of the CT pass systems, when the tariff and fees go live now on the 2015 network, those are connected directly to the banking systems. I think you just got an invite to the reserve.
Cleveland Reserve is having a
That's why they're involved.
Cleveland Federal Reserve is. And the CT PAT numbers up there are legal for trade certified.
Which, by the way, everybody failed. It's not a bad thing, but it's out of 14 that were in the business partner project, every one of them, including Ellen, failed.
Yeah, it's a learning thing, and they're going to continue to train and learn. They failed the CT PAT process, basically. So this is 2015 now, which is at the MBS facility. Unmanned Systems Test and Training Range, Con Ops, Concept of Operations. This will be the tower that's on top of that building. This is the roof of the building. That's about 40 or 50 feet.
Jimmy, I'll be able to see your dad taking a shower. On the
The
second
tower,
floor.
yeah, it's 60 or 60 feet high, the proposed deck, so you got the ladder. But the lamp, foghorn, core stations, et cetera, different sensor packages and lighting items are on top of that. What else is on here that's key? Unmanned lighthouse column. So then you get the column location. It's really almost in the center of the building, right up on top. This is a little bit light, but this is from a profile side view looking west, where the intermodal rail terminal, or MBS facility, is sitting. Restricted access areas, payload assembly and test inside, maritime vehicle integration and aviation vehicle integration and testing that will be done inside. The back side, which is facing south, where the old rail came in for rail loading, we're going to use those at the beginning. That added 5 new truck doors until we get the rail in. So it'll be graded for loading and unloading out of the backside while the loading docks are being worked on and improved. And at the same time, then as we grow, we can add the 9 doors and the rail come in the back, 2016 or 17. This is a diagram of the inside of the building, and what you see is it's again unmanned lighthouse system test and distribution center. The W1, 2, and 3 are restricted access areas. That's the tenant areas for payload assembly and test and maritime and aviation vehicle integration. But these are all, this is warehouse, sorting, loading, and unloading. So there's a flow through here right now from the loading docks at the end through to this warehouse sections. This is the west side, that about 60,000 square feet area of the building. The building's 110. And then we have
about 64,000 inside, another 40,000 external.
Yeah, the external back where the loading docks are.
They're all controlled areas.
Controlled, fence, gated, so there'll be another perimeter road behind that for traffic that isn't stopping anymore. So there's the Perch Drive, and then we're opening a perimeter road and access a separate road in the backside. And then this ties to the, again, back to 2012, the port-to-port trade agreement with Mexico. A lot of the products in trade, a lot of our import and export is with Mexico, and our focus is on improving commerce and export. Is import too, but export is a key function of the state and also the Port Authority. And this will, all the work that we've done builds that facility to a qualified level that's now put on the logistics networks. And with the proclamation with Mexico, it opens up those trade discussions where you can actually export with foreign trade zone support from Weirton to San Luis Potosi as this builds out. So it's the the fruits and all the different products that come out of Mexico. Mexico has the most trade agreements of our trading partners in the world. So logically, with our Gulf Coast and everything, we're tying all the security and surveillance and everything as countries, the United States and Mexico together to allow. I don't remember, it was 5 or 10 years ago when the trucks had to stop at the border, change trucks, load and unload. Mexican drivers went back home and American drivers took over. Well, now that costs a lot of money and we lose a lot of money in commerce. So with the proper systems, they can drive through, but they got to get vetted through the systems. And with the trade agreements and the work with the Port Authority, that's an extremely significant portion of the port's focus because that's international.
We'll need to do a little better on the CT path.
Yeah, we just got to do a little better training, and we got to build that ecosystem to help these businesses learn how to participate, because this is the 21st century and the opportunities are massive. And this is the point where we do question and answer before we have an executive session. So, there's Muggsy.
He's still down there.
Oh, he's still loading and unloading. Any comments or questions from you
We'll let
guys,
him out.
board members, audience? So our executive session, before we go there, we'll have to do the motion. The topics are legal, finance, emerging growth opportunities, the operating concession, letter of intent, resolution 87, third-party yellow book management audit, and then disclosures. So with that, can I get a motion to go into executive session? No, I'm asking for the motion.
A motion.
We voted on that, didn't we? Okay, the motion is second for executive session. Dan Spicker, second. All in favor? Okay, so now we're going to go to executive. We staying here? Yes. Okay, can I have a motion to return from executive session? You running?
Yep.
Dan Spicker's motion, second. Here. Farley got the second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, in executive session, we went over legal and financial emerging growth opportunities. The only thing the disclosure thing was from last month, should be on there. But third-party yellow book, we talked about the process for that, so the board understands a little bit about that. And then the operating concession letter of intent, we didn't have really any, I don't think we had anything we voted, we didn't make any decisions. So we don't really have anything more to add, other than adjournment. So if I can get a motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Trying to get your